Hi, everyone. Welcome. You've stumbled into not really my corner today. This is Barb's corner.
Good morning.
This is Barb's corner today. I am obviously not in my usual location. I am in the great state of Florida. So if we have any nurses out there who are interested in coming to Florida, that's where I am right now. So super excited to be here. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the show, if you've never watched before, if you have watched before, make sure you drop in the chat. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and then, of course, any questions that you have about the immigration process. Of course, we talk about English language. We talk about immigration. We talk about NCLEX. We talk about all of those wonderful things on Kari's Corner. So please make sure you are tuning in and make sure I've got errors popping. Today is going to be a crazy show. And the reason today is I have multiple reasons for that. Number one, we have Barb. She's a little crazy. Yeah, she's a lot of fun. So we have Barb. Number two, I don't have Tracy running the chat. So I have to run the chat too. Any comments that come up in the chat, I'm going to be doing that too, but we're also going to be talking to Barb, which I'm super excited. Barb is a good morning, Arlene. Arlene is she's my weekly viewer. She's in Jamaica. So
good morning, Arlene.
She's down there struggling with all that beautiful Jamaica sunshine.
Yeah.
Down there struggling. Oh, I tell her every week, I would trade places with you. But so like I said, we have Barb, and Barb has given me a little bit of background. I'm going to let Barb introduce herself. But my first time, I don't even know if Barb remembers this, but my first time meeting Barb's been on the show before. But the first time I physically met Barb, I was down here. My youngest child was getting ready to turn 3. And she fell getting out of the shower at my mother's house. And I didn't know. She had a big gap. Of course, you guys as nurses know that when the head bleeds, it's like gushes blood, even if it's not a bad cut, right? So I bring my bloody-headed child to Barb, and I was like, do I need to take her to the emergency room? And
she needed more care than her child.
I did. Well, my child got blood gushing from her head, like her whole back of her head, like she has a ton of hairs, and like bloody mess. I'm like, I don't know. And Barb just calmly, just like all of you nurses out there, just calmly looked and was like, yeah, she's probably gonna need, a couple staples. And I was like, okay. So we get in the car and go to the emergency room, and Barb was like, nice to meet you. Like bedside manner to the extreme over here. Gave me a whole new level of appreciation for nurses. And the fact that she opened, you guys as nurses know, you may leave work, but you never really leave work.
You are always a nurse.
And that a level of stress would just be constant for me. So many people watching from North Carolina. Thank you for assisting me during your transition in 2022. Mario, that is awesome. Where are you in North Carolina? That's super fantastic. If you guys have questions, Mario's in the chat. He's already been through the entire process. Mario's a great resource. Thanks for tuning in, Mario. That's awesome. I'm so glad you found success and a great journey with Worldwide. So Mario is evidence, ladies and gentlemen. You can make it. You can get here. Good morning, watching from the Philippines. Hello in the Philippines. Love the Philippines. Zimbabwe. So excited. Zambia. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're in Fayetteville at Cape Fear Valley Health. Mario, that is fantastic. Cape Fear is such a great company. I hope you are truly finding happiness there and success there. That is just, it makes our heart happy when we hear from our nurses that you guys are doing really well where you are. Arlene, girl, you always going to get a shout out. And watching from Jordan, thank you so much for tuning in from Jordan. So I'm going to let Barb tell you a little bit about her background, what she does now, which is like she said, once you're a nurse, you may not be bedside anymore. You're still doing really cool things. So tell us a little bit about your background and all the stuff, and then we'll talk about what you're doing now too.
Okay, well, I'm would like to say that I wanted to be a nurse from the bassinet, but that was not true for me. So I decided in my junior year in high school, oh, I think I'll be a nurse. So I pursued my career, and I began my career at Geisinger Healthcare System. And I was there for 30 years, and I was senior nurse executive for their system. And then I decided, after my husband passed away, I decided, oh, you know what, Florida. Yes, they need nurses in Florida. We still do.
Yep.
And so I came here. Subsequently, I got a doctorate in nursing and a PhD in nursing. And I retired actually from the Baptist healthcare system in 2016. And I thought, now, I don't want to be like my cousin who is a social butterfly. I want to do something connected to nursing. So I did. I volunteered at the hospital. I volunteered at the Council on Aging as a nurse. And I did all kinds of stuff, some fun stuff and some serious stuff. And now I teach online. So I teach at the University of Alabama and Penn State University. And I teach nursing leadership and medical ethics. So that's my story. And I'll tell you what, I still get calls, especially when I go to the gym to work out, and people say, "You're a nurse, aren't you? Could you check my rash? Could you check?" But you know what? It keeps me in the game. So I am so glad you all are here.
We are, and you were telling me that nurses that you worked with or that you hired from, I think, the Philippines specifically.
Yes.
They are still here. They're
here. They're active. They're all citizens, and they're in the community. So they're part of us now. Anyway, they're wonderful, and also, like all of you, they're wonderful nurses. And we did everything we could to make them feel at home, and that's what we did. We did accomplish that.
That is, and so many of our clients are going to do that. I know there's some fear, there's some trepidation about immigrating to the United States. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been to the Philippines, I've been to South Korea, I've been in Egypt, been other places in the world, and I've seen the cultural differences, right? And imagining that cultural shock of you moving and your family moving. And our healthcare systems and healthcare providers do a great job, and nurses really rally around each other.
Oh, yeah, they do. They really do. And, you hear all kinds of horror stories about nursing shortages, but that's going to always be. Mm-hmm. For me, that's the way it was as I was a student nurse. Somebody would call in sick, and so they give you a couple extra patients. But if you are a nurse, you get through it and you give your patients good care.
That's exactly right. So what kind of nursing have you done? And has it always been in a hospital setting? What's the spectrum of your?
Well, I really started out, as I encourage all nurses to do, I started out on the medical surgical units, where that's where you get all your experience. Patients get admitted or they come from ICU, so they have a number of ailments. But as a nurse, you get to see everything on a med-surg unit. And generally what happens is you decide, oh, you know what, I think I want to work in ICU, or maybe I want to do the OR. Well, okay, so I did the ICU because I wanted to do almost everything. So I did the ICU, and then I did a step-down unit, and then I decided I want to go into the OR. Well, that was fun.
There's no way. No way. I'll leave that up to all of you.
Yeah, but we used to have a lot of fun. The surgeons were, I don't know how they do that now, but the surgeons treated the nurses very well, with the exception of one or two. And we used to have fun as scrub nurses. The surgeons would sing. I had Mabel, Mabel, Mabel on my table. But, that one. But never outside the OR. It was fun inside the OR. And then I went to recovery room, and then I wound up going to the emergency room. And then I wound up on a helicopter, not for a joyride either, as a flight nurse.
Oh, wow.
And then I wound up going into nursing administration, and then I wound up being the senior vice president for nursing. And so I did it. I did everything. So I would always say to my nurses, don't tell me something that I'm not going to believe.
So how much time would you spend before you transition?
Oh, I would say a good year.
Okay.
A good year, because the other manager that you're interviewing with, they're going to look to see, well, is she just a job hopper, or is she? But a good year to get you that experience. And then you decide from the patients you take care of where you want to go from there.
Okay. So that's what we talk about that a lot. Like, we'll hire nurses, we may hire you for med surg, or that's a lot. We hire a lot of med surg. I think that's what we just saw. Mario I think he said he was in med surg, so we hire a lot of med surg. I think that's where a lot of people do start, right? Is medical surgical.
Yes, they start, but there are some nurses who love med surg and they stay there. Which is good, because they become the preceptors for new nurses coming in.
So what we tell people, because some people are like, I do med surg, or I have a job in med surg, but I want to do something else. So Barb is here telling you right now, just because you sign your offer letter and you're in the hospital, like, there's a lot of movement that you can do. You're not stuck in that position for years and years and years and years and years. You can move within that hospital. You can apply when positions come open to move to other units.
And we definitely look at the background, your resume, and things like that, because we have nurses that come to us with a lot of experience. So then we say, okay, maybe you don't need to start on med surg. Maybe you could go to the ED, or you can you're an OR nurse. Well, how about if we do that?
Yeah.
So, but the majority, really, to get to know the culture and everything, we like to start everybody on med surg.
It makes sense. And some people may be like, in your country where you have worked through your system, right? But like Barb said, med surg is a great place to start to really understand the hospital, the culture, the system. It's a great starting point. It's like your freshman year, right? It's like freshman orientation. We got to welcome you into the hospital, and that's just a great place to get your feet wet. That's probably a common U.S. phrase that we use. Getting your feet wet means you're being introduced into something.
And we try and pair you up with a preceptor that will match you. So we talk to preceptors, we talk to the people that are coming in, the orientees, and we say, oh, you know what? She'd be really good with Sally, or he'd be really good with Nick, or whatever. And then they build a relationship, a trusting relationship. And after that, the preceptor doesn't hang around forever. So we don't want you to become so dependent that you can't function by yourself. But I've never had that experience with anybody.
Okay. We do have, I do see a quick question. I love seeing the connection between, it looks like Mario and Deb, like you've made that connection of like, I'm going to be there soon. Like, that's so awesome that you guys were able to connect via Kari's Corner. That's really cool. Motivation to start the English test. Christine, do you mean like when should you start preparing for the English test? And I have spoken to Barb. I think we've talked about this a little bit before, in that your English language skills are critical to being a good nurse in the United States. Like, you could have the most amazing resume, you could be the most amazing nurse, but if you can't communicate with your patients, you're not going to be a good nurse. Like, the knowledge you have is not going to be able to be relayed to the patient. And then to the doctors, the necessary people who need to know. So the motivation to start your English test is being a good nurse in the United States and being a good employee. That should motivate you.
Your motivation should have begun already.
Yes.
So if you really want, and to be honest with you, where I was a nurse, my last assignment as a nurse executive, we have a lot of patients with different backgrounds. That's not the case with every hospital. And so it puts the patient in a state of discomfort if someone does not understand, I got this or I have that, or, they're just scared to be in the hospital. And so they need someone that understands what they're saying.
Yeah, it's a whole, if you're talking to someone, they don't understand you, you're going to add a whole level of stress and anxiety to the patient. And that's the last thing I know you want to do as nurses. So your motivation to start English with your English test would be, I need to be as good at speaking English as I possibly can so that I can be the best nurse that I can be to the patients when I arrive in the U.S. The test is should just be like a blip on the radar. Like it's something you have to do.
Right.
Yes. Like it's a box you have to check. You have to take an English test. That's why I tell people you should be speaking English as much as possible every single day. The reading, the writing, the listening, yes, also very important. But it's the speaking that's going to be the most impactful for your patients. And so many people I know, you're so scared that, we're going to judge you because of your accent or because you mix some things up with grammar.
Right.
Well, I'm here to tell you, we live in the South. Now, Barb's been in the North where their grammar is a little better. But here in the South, we don't care about grammar.
I haven't learned how to say y'all yet.
It's exactly right. Y'all is a part. We can't give directions based on left and right. We say yonder. We say, you gonna go down the road a piece? And no, grammar, do not stress about making sure your grammar is perfect, right?
It's your English, yes.
You need to go into that room with confidence.
Right.
Like the person you're speaking to is already nervous and they have something wrong with them, right? That's why they're in the hospital. You need to be the confident presence in that room. So if you go in there and you're scared to speak, it's not going to be a good situation. Not going to be a good situation. I see on here, I'm trying to see, Mario is a preceptor. He's done, look at all that. Look at all the things you're doing.
Done the clinical ladder.
That is so cool. And you've only been, Mario, when did you arrive in the United States? When did you arrive in the United States? That's my, I think you said 2022, I think, but I just want to double check, Mario, and see when you arrived. And look at all that you've accomplished since you've been here.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is super awesome. Sophia, all I see is I never got a reply back. I'm not sure what you never got a reply back from. So if you could restate that question for me, that would be great. Arlene, of course you've done it all. Of course you've done it all, Arlene, because you're Arlene and you're amazing. Mario arrived in 2022. So you've done all of that in really under 2 years, which is amazing. That is absolutely awesome. Congratulations to you, Mario. Mario also says the IELTS is tough. She thought he was not going to make it. Practice, motivation, and determination, and you passed. I mean, that's really it. It's practice. Practice, 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 practice with those English tests. I will say that because you guys watch, because you ask questions, because you are so active on Kari's Corner, I had a meeting with the directors, some of the directors of TOEFL and TOEIC. It's Tracy! Tracy, shouldn't you be at jury duty? But I was able to have a meeting with TOEFL and TOEIC, and they hear you as nurses. They hear you talking about your struggles that you're having with your English language exam. And we had a meeting with them to talk about what can TOEFL and TOEIC do to better tune into the healthcare industry. So keep tuning in, keep asking questions. Of course, Pearson PTE is amazing. It's out there. It's an awesome opportunity. IELTS is still the IELTS. It's there. MET is making a lot of noise in the Philippines, which is great. MET is an option. OET, the Occupational English Test, always a great healthcare option. So depending on your English test, people ask me all the time, when do I start practicing my English? When do I need to start preparing for my English test? Well, you shouldn't be preparing for your English test. You should be preparing to speak English at your job.
Yeah.
That's what you should be preparing to do. And there is some test aspects you need to practice and prepare for.
And I'll tell you what, I have never had an issue with a nurse that has come from outside the United States. with their English. Once they get here, it's almost like a natural. And because they're mostly surrounded by nurses and physicians that speak English, it's a little bit easier for them. And believe me, your preceptor will help you if you need, because sometimes, especially where I am now, there's a lot of idiosyncrasies we have a big diverse population. So if you don't understand something, someone on the unit will understand.
Yes.
And so don't feel like you can't ask questions, but it is important for you to understand and speak English.
Yeah, I think, I'm sure Mario kind of echoed what we said, be confident, don't stress too much about the grammar. But I'm sure Mario will agree with this too, is the importance of asking questions if you don't know something. Yeah. You're not expected to come over here and know everything. People, especially in patient care, doctors, other nurses, other staff members will appreciate you having questions other than going in there and giving a patient incorrect information, right?
And we try and tell preceptors especially, when you have someone that comes from outside the U.S., don't use slang. Don't use slang because they're not going to understand what you're saying. Like looking at that seriously or some, slang, something that maybe another nurse or another person would wonder what she means by that. So don't struggle because you're going to do fine.
And if you don't understand something, ask. Ask. Always get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Ask the questions. Ask the questions. So important. As long as they understand you're speaking, you can explain very well. You're good with it. Having confidence with yourself is definitely a plus point. Absolutely. Hello to Irene in Kenya. Thank you for tuning in today. So we've talked about kind of the overcoming the hurdle of, speaking English and the importance of speaking English for a long time prior to coming to the United States. What would you say is the biggest difficulty that international nurses face when they come to the United States?
I think the biggest hurdle is probably outside the hospital. It's just it's not overwhelming, it's getting used to a different culture. But I have to tell you, we have different cultures in all parts of the United States. When I moved south, it was a totally different experience for me. People were saying, "Oh, you're a Yankee." Oh, that was my, that was really name.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, no, they put the Yankee in charge.
That's right. You've got the Yankee.
But it's culturally trying to find the right church, trying to find the right group of people to hang out with, trying to determine, should I go to that party or should I not? Finding housing, all that kind of stuff. But we will help you with that. We have groups that help with that, especially church groups. They embraced the nurses. And we had nurses that joined the Presbyterians, the Episcopalians, and a lot came to our Catholic Church because that's where they came from in their country. So, and believe me, you will be made to feel welcome.
That is, I would say that's an excellent tip, just because finding somewhere outside of work to be plugged in. And that's, again, where you don't want to rely on your preceptor for everything, right? You want to, your preceptor's there to help you navigate work. And I'm sure you can ask your preceptor those questions, like, are there any good churches in the area? If you're looking for houses, like, where is the safest place to live? Like, you can ask those general questions.
And we have groups that meet outside the hospital just for the purpose of assisting people that are just moving to this country. So once you get into the hospital, you're gonna feel comfortable soon. But it's outside where you're gonna have to get used to. Oh no, I don't live at home anymore. I'm in a different country. I need to find my people. I need to find a group of people that I can join. So that's probably the biggest challenge.
I think that's true whether you're immigrating from another country or not. But I think when you moved from up north, Mario's talking about people picked on him a little bit for his grammar. We pick on from the South, we pick on Yankees because of the way they say things.
Hey, Mario, I'm Sicilian. So my grammar sometimes is, you know, they pick on me, but they're afraid of me then. No, I'm only kidding.
As soon as she says she's Sicilian, we're like, okay, have a nice day. Bless you. Have a nice day. Don't fake your slang. Be natural with your speaking, and they will understand you. Yes, absolutely. Don't try to, I say that when you're preparing for the English test. Don't use words that you don't really understand their meaning, because that is like a big red flag of, oh, they really don't know what's going on here. They're just trying to throw some stuff out there. Use words that you know what they mean, right? Don't try to, you know, sound like Taylor Swift.
Oh, don't worry.
I know, Barb's over here. Barb's a Swiftie. She's a closet Swiftie. I can feel it. So much. Love you, Taylor Swift. Thank you. If you ever watch the show.
I have to say, Mario, I am sorry that you were bullied for that, but that has not been my experience, and we certainly do not condone that ever.
And I feel like in the South, he's so happy because he's learned a lot of Americanized language. Like, you crack me up. It's very true. You crack me up. Yeah, absolutely. I say that all the time. And that's a phrase that I would have even thought twice about using that people wouldn't understand. It was not there in the U.S. Oh, well, that's good. Okay. That's good. So it was happening. Oh, so that totally makes sense from what I've heard. Is when I was overseas, people were scared to speak English to other, you know, Filipinos or South Koreans, because they're like, oh, what if they're better than me? Then they're going to judge me. They're going to critique me. Whereas, like I said, we're not. We can't even say it very well.
Well, I'll tell you something. To your point, Arlene, American children don't learn as many different languages as people outside the United States. I'm amazed at how many people actually know English when they get here. We go there and we expect them to understand English. When that should not be the case. Our schools need to be teaching conversational. Yes. Not okay, let's do this, let's divide this verb. No, I want to understand what they're saying. Conversational. Exactly. And I feel like when you all are learning English, it's, from my understanding, it's kind of the same way. You don't ever get the opportunity to practice speaking it. It's more your teacher is throwing you the information, but you don't ever get to speak it back. Right. And that happens in the United States as well when we are learning other languages. It's just in the United States, it doesn't happen until you get to high school. Whereas in most other countries, you start as a child. That's why we have Babbel. Yeah, that's true. And Duolingo, Rosetta Stone. They've been with me. I've been, trying to learn Spanish for when I went to Mexico, and my husband always picks on me because I try to speak Spanish to the driver, and my husband's like, "You don't speak Spanish, please stop." And I'm like, "Yes, I do. Let me live my dream." Well, my dad used to break into Italian a lot, especially when he got upset about something. And my mom would say, "Okay, I want to teach her Italian, but not those words." So can you still speak Italian? No. I was going to put her on the spot. That's why I'm on Babbel. That's right. See, Barb is a lifelong learner. That's what I love. That's what I love. I think you guys are going to do great. It is. It's going to be, and Mario will tell you, it's an amazing experience. It's a stressful experience. Immigration can be. At Worldwide, we have no control over the government's timeline. So much of what you are doing is submitting, it's almost like your life story to the U.S. government in the form of all these papers, especially if you're bringing a family with you and all of your dependents. So I have a question for the group. Do you have any idea of geographically where in the United States you'd like to land? Have you looked at that? South, west, north?
So they do. We do. So at Worldwide, that's a great question. At Worldwide, in Kenya, you speak English, Kiswahili, and your native dialect. I am obsessed with Kenya. That's on my bucket list to go to Kenya. I just think it's the coolest country in the world. You have giraffes in your backyard.
We have a woman here
from Kenya,
Diane Hamrick. She's the one that she goes to Kenya a lot, but she wants people to go with her. She's an elephant person.
Oh, I like elephants too. But no, yeah.
She builds schools in Kenya.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, we'll have to get you hooked up with her.
I've got to go to Kenya. I've got to go. I'm still mad at Lewis because he got to go on behalf of Worldwide when they opened the NCLEX Test Center. I wanted to go. You think south? Yep, that's right. Arlene, you are heading to Georgia, the state of Georgia, which is really, really cool. So Leah in the UAE, thank you so much for tuning in, Leah. So what our nurses do is when they, our clients send us, we're hiring for these jobs, and our clients are all over the place, all over the United States, and the nurses get to pick where they go. Yeah. So they can accept the job interview.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really cool. So we talk about that a lot on the show, is ask questions about, the climate, about, the diversity of the place.
Well, especially sometimes there's a connection here in this country. Like you had somebody in your family that immigrated to the United States, or you had a friend or whatever. So if you're okay with that state, sometimes it's a good idea to have that connection.
Yeah.
So when you go, you have a connection, and they can help you get through the culture.
The other thing about that, though, in the United States that's very different from the rest of the world is that we are not afraid to get in the car and drive. For example, like you guys know, I live in South Carolina. That's 2 states north, and I'm right here in Florida. A quick 5.5-hour drive, hop in the car, 5.5 hours, and I'm here. I'm now in Florida. So don't turn down, look at job opportunities on a map. And if you have family in California, don't ignore a job opportunity especially if they're in Northern California, right. Washington and Oregon. Those are, that's a car ride to Northern California.
Right.
Look at the states around it. You also want to think like California is really expensive to live in. Really expensive to live in. So you also want to look. Arlene wasn't given a choice. She was just placed. I did not know that, Arlene. But you got placed in Georgia, which is right next to Barb in Florida. So if you need anything, ask Barb.
You can visit me.
You can come visit Barb. She's an excellent help. Is the PTE exam accepted for the Board of Nursing in Illinois and Texas? So I can say safely that it is accepted for the Board of Nursing in Texas. I'm not going to try to say your name because I will butcher it. But I can say that the PTE is accepted in Texas. It depends on if you're applying for license, if you already have your U.S. nursing license. If you've taken the NCLEX and you've applied for a nursing license in the U.S., then you will be endorsing. So if you're endorsing to Illinois, PTE is accepted. But if you're applying for a license you're going through the NCLEX process right now, could be a little different. Okay. But I can say safely for both licensure by examination and endorsement, Texas does accept the Pearson PTE. So there's that answer.
And the other thing you want to look at is there are community hospitals. Like we have a community hospital. And there are not that we don't teach, but there's also teaching hospitals, like the University of Florida. They have, okay, that's not that. But every state has big university-connected hospitals. So if that's what you would like, and you want to continue, and I encourage everybody to continue your education, because believe me, I said to my nurses, look at me, I'm old and I have my second PhD. Well, no, I'm too old to do that. No, you're not. No. And so once you get here, you want to make sure you're placed in a hospital system of your choice, of what you would like. Would you like to go on, or do you want a community style hospital? And that doesn't say that once you land, you can't, after a year or so, you can't move to another hospital.
Yeah, it's all depending on, once you sign your contract, very important to pay attention to your contract terms and all of that. But once you have served your contract, the world is your oyster, my friend. Well, at least the USA is. Yeah. And you are welcome to experience the U.S. Don't be scared to travel. Don't be scared to move. Moving is very common in the United States.
Yes, we do recruit CNAs.
So the United States, yes. However, our CNA recruitment process, first of all, we have a really long list of applicants. It's an astronomically long list of international applicants, but it's a different immigration timeline, and that timeline is like 5 to 7 years. To get, and then we have it's super frustrating because we have a super big need for CNAs. There is a huge need for them in the United States. It's just that the international recruitment timeline is so long. It's a lot of our, employers and stuff are like, we can't wait 5 to 7 years, right? They want it now. Right. So you are welcome, Irene, to apply and get your name added to that list. But my advice to you, if you want to get over here quicker, would be study, go to school, get your RN, take the NCLEX. Right. Get your registered nurse and take the NCLEX. You will be able to do that quicker than you would immigrating to the United States as a CNA. Right. Plus the pay is drastically different between a CNA and an RN. Massively different. So setting yourself up for success in the U.S. would be to go the RN route.
And most hospitals, I hate to say this, and I don't know how to put this, but a lot of hospitals have discontinued the licensed practical nurse within the hospital. They mostly go to the home health area and so forth for home visits. Okay. And so we encourage nurses to get their bachelor's at least. Yeah. Yeah, that's part of, so you'll have to do an education equivalency evaluation. Right. And that's what we look for, is that bachelor's. You met me when I was in Davao. Oh, Davao is beautiful. Davao is in the Philippines. Oh. Super cool place. Super wonderful place to be. I'm so happy. Hello. I love it when people pop on here that I actually got to see when I was in the Philippines. That's so cool. That's so cool. And now you're applying for your visa screen. So the PT is, yes, if you email me, I will send you some free preparation materials for the PTE. I'm happy to do that for you, my dear. So please email me and I will send you some PTE prep. And you're going to Texas? Yes, it is okay. She's going to Texas. Oh, there's a lot of great healthcare systems in Texas. Texas is, now Texas is huge. You can drive for 24 hours and still be in Texas. So hey, look at where you are in Texas. That's super cool. You could drive 5 minutes and be at the other end of the island. Where we are, you can drive 5 minutes and we're on an island in Florida. So you can be at the other end of the island, watching from Abu Dhabi. Ooh. Absolutely. I've always wanted to go there. To Abu Dhabi? Yeah. We have a lot of events in Abu Dhabi, I feel like. But that's every time people comment on here, I'm like, where are you? Ooh, I want to go there. That's so cool. Is the PTE, Irene, accepted in North Carolina? Again, that's going to depend on if you already have your U.S. nursing license. If you are endorsing, then you didn't catch the discussion last week. Oh, that's okay. You're here this week, Walter. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Is the PT, so again, if you're applying if you already have your U.S. license and you're endorsing to North Carolina, then yes, the PTE is accepted. If you're applying for licensure by examination, which I would not go through North Carolina if you're trying to do licensure by exam, because they require a social security number to issue your license. So don't go through North Carolina for licensure by exam. Texas is a great option. Illinois is a great option. New York is a really good option. I feel like I see Montana. So those are some really great options if you are taking the NCLEX and choosing a state to go through. Right. And it is true of most of the United States, but I have to tell you, New York is very diverse. It's probably the most diverse state in the U.S. Because that's where a lot of people come they come to from other countries,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there they spread out. So I'm just saying it's a good place to start.
Yeah, New York and New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
Jersey. You know, if you live in New York, though, people are like, "Oh, you're in Jersey." Like, it's very, yeah, it's like, "Oh, you don't want to live in New Jersey."
The only reason we go to Jersey is to go to the shore.
Exactly, to get to the beach. But no, both of them are really great, and Jersey's cheaper. I'll tell you that much. Jersey's significantly cheaper than New York.
I think you'll find just about any state that you pick would welcome you with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is stress the English, make sure you get that English done, and make sure you study where you want to land. But don't think that if you land somewhere you can't change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you're there a year or so and you think, you know what, I think I want to go to Texas or I want to go here and there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all your choice.
Yep. After you've served your contract time, like absolutely. And a lot of these hospitals are big systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
They may have a location in another state, so you can stay within that system and move to another state. Like, is Baptist Health, is that only Florida? Or I feel like
Baptist Health is all over the country.
Yeah, Baptist Health is all over the country.
Yeah.
How is the beach in North Carolina? Okay. I will gladly answer that question. Not one beach in the United States looks like the Philippines. Not one of them. The beaches, the water, the biggest difference is the water is very murky. It's very murky. And I am I love them. I'm obsessed with marine biology. It's fascinating to me. I love whales, and I have an app on my phone.
Go get that.
That's in my manatees. Yes. Oh, the manatees. I have an app on my phone that allows me to track great white sharks that have been tagged. Yep. Barb's got her shark.
I have them all.
She does. And so I, in the Atlantic Ocean, do not go any deeper than my knees when I can stop seeing my feet because there are sharks.
Yeah, you don't want to just go down to your knees.
Yeah. It's lots of sharks. But people still go out there. People were in the water, like swimming in the water.
That's not me.
Yesterday. It was crazy to me. And the water is so cold right now. It's the Atlantic Ocean, North Carolina. That water, so cold.
But you want to go up in a helicopter? You'd be surprised what you would see.
Oh, the sharks.
Oh, yeah.
They're out there. They're out there, my friends, which I think they're cool. And I'll look at it from like a boat above, but I don't want to be in the water with it. Good morning from St. Lucia. Oh, St. Lucia.
Oh, man.
Living the dream. Can you use the PTE for California? Again, that is a licensure by endorsement or exam question. If you have a valid U.S. license and you're endorsing to California, then yes, you can use the PTE. But if you are applying for, if you're taking the NCLEX through California, which I would not suggest you do because their processing time is like forever, so long. California takes so long. If you've ever emailed them, you'll notice it takes them 6 months to reply to your email. But if you're endorsing to California, PTE is absolutely acceptable. Absolutely. So Walter, I'm so sorry to disappoint you, but it is not as pretty as the beaches in Philippines in the North Carolina region. It's just not. People still go there. It's super popular.
Yeah.
If you do choose to go to a beach in North Carolina, I would suggest going to what's called the Outer Banks.
Oh, yeah.
And Mario's, he's up in North Carolina right now. You're welcome, Mario. Thank you for tuning in today. But Mario, if you haven't checked out the Outer Banks yet, that is Ocracoke Island. Absolutely beautiful, big beaches, very wide beaches. Lots of fishing happens out there. Lots of fishing. So it is. North Carolina is awesome. North Carolina really is great because if you like the beach, there's the beach. If you like the mountains, there's the mountains. You've got
lots of mountains too.
Lots of mountains. You've got Boone Blowing Rock is another great city. Asheville in North Carolina, super cool scene. But then on like on the coastal side, you've got what's called the trifecta, really, of knowledge. You've got Wake Forest University, Duke University, North Carolina State, and then you've got UNC Chapel Hill. So Walter says, I hope Mario will give me a short tour soon. That's awesome. Mario went to Asheville. You went to the Biltmore. The Biltmore is really cool. Yeah, it was the whole self. It was built by the Vanderbilt. Very cool place. Huge, like the biggest house you've ever seen.
Chimney Rock.
Yes, you went to Chimney Rock, which is also absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. My husband proposed to me in the mountains of North Carolina. He did.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So the mountains of North Carolina are very special to me as well. So can't wait to explore North Carolina. It's a cool state. It's very cool. It's also surrounded by South Carolina and Virginia, a little bit of West Virginia and Tennessee.
I'll tell you what's also pretty. Maryland is beautiful.
It is.
Maryland and Virginia are very pretty, and they're very beachy, especially Maryland. And their crab cakes are wonderful.
Their crab, and if you want crab, if you want to try crab in the U.S., Maryland. That's where you want to go. Yeah. You want to go to Maryland. They do have the best crab cakes. If you want lobster, you got to hike it all the way up to Maine.
Yeah. They have good lobster.
They do. Outside of Boston has pretty good lobster.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
they make a lobster roll. It's pretty good. But if you go up to Maine, you can actually go fish the lobster yourself.
We have two Mainers that moved down here and opened a lobster place.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know what I'm doing for lunch.
It's on Center Street. You tell your mom to take you there.
I need to go get some lobster. That's what I need to. We're down here where we are in Florida. It is all about the shrimp.
Oh, yeah, shrimp.
We are all about the shrimp here. So always a good time. Well, we are over our time for our normal allotted time for the show today. You guys asked so many great questions. Barb is so amazing. I know that I feel like for license renewal, like when nurses have to renew their license, don't they have to do like a medical ethics as part of a renewal process?
They have to. Yes, they have to do. That's part of the continuing education.
That's what it is.
That you have to do. And I mean, to renew your license is pretty rigorous.
And some of you, so that's why we tell a lot of you, when you apply and you take the NCLEX and you get your license, nursing licenses expire. You have to do continuing education. You have to take certain states require certain courses, certain hours, certain clinical experience, all that kind of stuff to renew your license. So if you have questions about the courses that Barb teaches and if they're applicable for license renewal, please reach out to me. Pay attention to if you've already taken the NCLEX and you've already got your nursing license, pay attention to when that expires, because some states, in order for you to endorse your license, you have to have an active license, meaning it cannot have expired.
No.
So you have to keep that license current. It just makes the process so much easier. So if you have questions about continuing education classes, if you're interested in possibly taking one of Barb's classes through the University of Alabama or Penn State, they're online, right?
Right.
They're all online. Take one of Barb's classes, like really tap into that knowledge, because she's had a lot of experience. And that is just something you can't put a price on, is being educated by someone who has literally seen it all in the healthcare system.
Yeah, I've seen pretty much of it.
I'm sure there's sometimes days that people would come in and you'd be like, I've seen that.
Or say, oh no.
Yeah, no, like I'm not dealing with that today. Not today. But thank you, Barb, for letting me.
You're welcome.
I'm in Barb's house. I'm hanging out in Barb's house. So thank you for opening your home and your brain to all of us. If you're catching the replay of this, thank you so much for watching the replay. So happy that you were able to tune in to Kari's Corner. Shout out to Tracy, who is serving jury duty here in the U.S. So thank you for your service, Tracy. I've got, it looks like, I don't know, there's something just blooped up and it says Tracy. So we'll have to see, but thank you, Tracy. Have fun. And obviously we want you guys Don't face the corner. There he is. He's chiming in now. Don't face the corner. Face the world with Worldwide. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you again, Barb.
Best of luck, everybody.
Bye.